Andres, you are not ready for what's happening in Miami real estate right now. The media said prices were going to drop. However, Miami Real Group says that
Says
they
what,
are,
Raúl? What do
huh?
we say?
They are wrong. Here's the proof. Tell them, Andres.
Well, Raúl, that's the media, and we already know that things have changed significantly, right? And
Mhm.
since the last quarter, things are completely different, and the media narrative about South Florida is finally changing, Raúl. And Miami Real Group has that purpose. And let's talk about that because the New York media, Raúl, which always hit us with incredible, let's say, a different reality. And this time, let's say that the stars are aligning for Miami, for Fort Lauderdale, for West Palm Beach, or for Palm Beach. And it is really a combination of, let's say, resale activity, developer sales, and let's say a change in interest rates,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And it is a shift, Andres, in the older condominiums. It'll line up to create different headlines. Andres, let's start with the Miami Herald. In
Okay.
August, they wrote, the Florida housing market sees a major shift with a jump in pending sale.
So this is
This is
different from Q2.
from Q1 when they said Miami was the epicenter of massive inventory.
Well, even suggesting Raul that prices will go down, right? But
That-
no. Now,
mhm.
if we take a look at the second article, Miami Herald in September, it said South Florida sees a huge spikes in sales due to lower interest rates.
And what about this, Andres? In just a week ago, the Business Journal, condo sales are up.
Right.
Today, Today we're going to explain what these numbers really means. Let's start with the MLS, Andres.
Well, yeah, that's a good point to start with. Let's start with the MLS because the resale system, the condominiums, in the second quarter, and if we talk about the listings, they went up 25,000 units, Raúl.
Yeah, in the past,
25,000.
yes, 25,000. It's a big chunk of property in South Florida. In the
Yeah.
past, we had said that the normal is around 22,000 in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach combined.
Hmm.
When we hit the 25,000, that number by itself suggests a change.
Well, that change it's from a seller's market to a buyer's market, Raúl. But that was until we separated the. Let's say that we did it by we separated the inventory by age,
But
and
age, that's right.
and that's what the media didn't do. I mean, they will never do it, and we did. As soon as you separate the all condos from 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, right, from the
And
younger
more.
ones, what happens to the story?
Yes, Andres. And at the end of the Q2, almost 90% of all resales inventory was over 30 years old. All
Mhm.
those property are subject to a new inspection laws impose a result of what happened 4 years ago in Surfside.
Well, yeah, the Champlain Towers
That's right.
supposedly made all this possible, right?
Yeah, yeah. This means that all the older condominiums must be brought up to current building code.
Yep.
And the problem in it's a nutshell is
Well, in
that
a
most
nutshell,
associations
Raúl,
don't have the money.
yeah, they don't have the money. They and the worst part is that they don't have reserves. So
No.
what do? They issue special assessments,
Hmm.
and that was in part, or that was in part what caused inventory to swell in the MLS. Properties from 30, 40, 50 years old, and their prices they started to dip.
Yes, and that is true, Andres. But look at the other side of the coin. The young condominiums less than 30 years old, there were only 3,000 of them. It's a very shortage of condominiums. A totally different story. it is a buyer's market for the old and an absolute sales market for the new.
Definitely, Raúl. Well, and we have had a change because a very healthy change we saw, let's say, in this third quarter, the total amount of inventory dropped from 25,000 to, well, it's only 1,000 units to 24,000. And that by itself is not significant at all. Although it's good to have less inventory, yes, but what's more significant is the difference between the young and the old, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Today,
today,
how many condos
Andres,
we have?
there are only 6,000 condos in less than 30 years old.
Wow.
Remember, that number should be double, closer to 12,000. But it's okay. We will take the 6,000, 6,000, not 1,000. Maybe we are going to 1,000 because 3 months ago, we only had 3,000 to sell.
Wow. Well, you know what, Raul? That's very interesting because condos north of, let's say, any condo older than 30 years old, unfortunately, they drop, right? They're no longer 21,000. Now they're 17,000. And number two, Raul, they now only represent 74% of the total inventory. Just remember that number, 74%. What does it mean, Raul?
In our appreciation, it means some of the inventory is selling. Not all of the building from 30 to 40 and 50 years ago were in bad shape.
Mhm.
Some were beautiful maintenance with the proper cash in their reserve accounts as imposed by the state of Florida.
Those are the ones selling, right? And we can
Yeah,
assure you that almost all of them, where are they, Raul?
on the
Are
water.
on the water, of course. We
Mhm.
have ocean, bay, intracoastal. They're beautifully maintained with cash reserves, incredible locations, and they're selling. But tell me why, Raul.
Okay, because they are bargains.
They're
They all
bargains. Yep.
Bergens, they all got brush with the same brush.
Yeah.
If you are over 30, your price either plateau
Yep.
or even dip. They are great values. You can find a gem on those buildings. Lots of buyers are seeing the opportunity. Lots of you are taking them to those properties.
Yeah, and the numbers pretty much speak for themselves, Raul. It's very nice to see that there are still properties with issues, yes, but some of them are incredible properties. And just imagine this, Raul, by the time we make the next report, right, this is quarter three,
January, the Q4.
right, this number will change for the better. That's what we expect, right? And
Yeah,
perhaps the worst news about the 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old condos is behind
yeah.
us.
There's a phrase we often use it for that. Florida has been a roller coaster,
Yep.
and what we always tell the investor and the buyer is this: when the roller coaster goes down, the next up has never been higher. What is being suggest here is when the market starts to improve again, you can expect valuation to be a higher level than the previous high from the previous cycle.
Well, Raul, we went ahead to prove where we are right now in this cycle, right? Like you said, it's a roller coaster swinging
Yeah.
back up, and that's what we are going to experience, and the data says so. Look at the total number of transactions, Raul, January through September. Let's just compare from January through September of 2024. This
Yes,
year,
Andres.
Raul, how many
Mhm.
transactions we had?
19,000 condos last year. They were 17,400 400
Yep,
condos.
yep.
And you can see the amount of closing that took place in Q1 of this year compared to Q2 and compared to Q3. These are the number 5,900, 6,300, and 6,700. Looks like the roller coaster is swinging back up.
And that combines with the fact that you've got more transactions this year than what we saw in 2024. Why is that so important, Raúl?
Yes, because why is it is because we were dealing with much higher mortgage rate this year than we were last year, much
Much
higher.
higher,
And
much higher.
yes, and Andres, and still the demand curve is showing that the roller coaster this year is in fact swinging back up.
Well, it is swinging back up. Let's talk about days on the market, Raúl, because we find this to be incredibly useful. 2 years
Yep,
ago, 2 years ago is 2023, right? And
correct.
the average days on the market were around, just imagine this, Raúl, 9 months
I'm
days on the market. That's crazy. And a year ago, at the end of quarter three, 240
That's
days.
crazy.
That's 8 months. Yeah, 1 month less. 8 months has been shrunk in half by Q3 of this year, right? But doesn't matter what the condo is, doesn't matter the price point, doesn't matter how old it is. It went from 8 months a year to 4 months this year. Just think about that, Raul.
Mhm. Let's go back to the quote. When the roller coaster is swinging back up, we are seeing more velocity, and where we are seeing shorter days on the market.
Yeah.
It very much looks like the roller coaster is definitely swinging back up, Andres. And now, here's where the spike, where we spike the football.
Yeah.
Mortgage rates. Here's a quick graph of the average. 30 years fixed rate loan from
Right.
January to the way through the end of September. The big difference even between Q2 when it was at 6.8 and now is 6.18.
Right. Well, that's a significant drop, Raul, in interest rates. Remember who's coming to town in December? Well,
Santa is coming to town.
well, Santa Claus is coming to town. What if, Raul, what if by the end of December we see a 30-year fixed rate loan to be below 6%? What
It
if?
might be possible.
So what happens if that happens?
Mhm. Well, that means thousands of people enter the marketplace.
Yep.
Probably most of them are currently renting. And when rates get that low, they won't want to wait for rates to get lower
Yeah.
because the house they want to buy, the condominium with the beautiful water view, may go to some other family.
Yeah. And when mortgage rates drop, more people, like you said, Raul, will enter the marketplace, and they do enter every single time. So going back to the roller coaster, we're seeing more velocity this year. We're seeing the average days on the market drop in half. What was 8 months is now 4. And now we have the gas in the tank, the fuel behind the optimism, and we think it should be yours as well. But what's happening in the credit market, Raul?
Okay, Andres, very good question. Interest rates might go even more down. Let's go to the new construction. At the end of the Q2, we said there were 137 brand new developments, and now it's up to 142. It increased in total around 130,000 units. It's units. It is a combination of short-term rental projects, condo hotels, and what I call traditional condos.
Well, condos with rental restriction, Raul, the kind
Yes,
of
that's right.
condos people live in when they're here year round or for long periods in a second home. So yes,
Mhm.
there are 30,000 in development. Half of that inventory are short-term rentals, Raul. The other
Mhm.
half are just traditional condos. And since people don't live year-round in short-term rentals, we're going to focus the rest of this video, this presentation, on the traditional condos, the other 15,000. So let's take a look at that, Raul, because a total of 142 buildings. How many units is that?
30,000 units.
That's
Half,
crazy.
as you mentioned, half of them are short-term rentals, half are traditional. Of
Wow.
the traditional condo, the 15,000 or so in development. In development, not ready yet, only half are under construction. We repeat this in every single report, but it's worth repeating.
Yep.
In the 2000s,
Yep.
from 2000 to 2007, there were 59 condos developed in Miami
Wow.
Beach and Fort Lauderdale.
Wow.
Yes, Andres, that's too many. 275 buildings
Wow.
under
So
construction at the same time. In the
just
next cycle, listen to this, which began in from 2011 and 2012, we built 19,400 units in 123 buildings.
well that is the number that we need, Raul. We need to
Mhm.
build in South Florida about supposedly about 19,000 units every 10 years just to satisfy the population growth. But that doesn't include second home sale, Raul. That doesn't include investor
Mhm.
sales. That only accommodates the strong population gains. And now we're way short of that.
Mhm.
There are about what 15,000 in development in this cycle in this decade, but unfortunately, there are only 7,600 that are under construction. And for those of you that think that the inventory shortage is going to be solved by pre-construction, you're being a little bit too optimistic.
Yes, Andres, it's because what we really need is the total units that we need for at least for a decade is
Minimum. Yeah.
closer to 20,000.
Yeah.
And you only got 15,000 in development, and of that, only 7,600 are under construction. When we moved here decades ago, a 30-story condominium was considered a high rise. Can you imagine that? Well, we are not building 30-story condos anymore. They are 50 stories, they are 60, 70, 80.
Yeah.
Heck, the Wall of Astoria is 100 stories. We've moved from high rise to
To super
super
tall.
tall.
Yeah.
They take time to build. The Aston Martin, a beautiful 70-story condominiums, took over 6 years to build.
Well, Raul, and if you use that as a guide, you can definitely. I mean, we already examined the what 7,600 condos
A
under
quarter.
currently under construction, and we broke them out year by year in terms of when they will be delivered. Next year, we are in 2026. How many units are gonna be delivered, Raul?
Just 1,300 of them. That's
That's
not very
nothing.
many.
That's
Nothing.
nothing. The following, let's go to 2027. How many we have?
1,200. Not
That's
very
nothing,
many.
Raul.
Mm-mm.
And remembering that we need 20,000 every 10 years. Just think about that, Raul. I mean, that's an average of what? Well, what, 2,000,
That's
right?
an average 2,000 per year. We're not going to accomplish that
Wow.
goal. We are running way short. In 2028, how many, Andres?
Well, in 2028, we have planned 1,600 and we can continue with the list. But when you factor in that over half of these units are already sold,
Yeah.
you've only got 3,600 of the 7,600 that are still available. I mean, that's
Yeah.
extremely short inventory, Raul.
Mhm. Yes, and when you consider the amount of demand that is continuing to come to South Florida, so
It's crazy.
when you are Andres, when you are imagining that is the pre-construction inventory that will solve the shortage of MLS, that's misguide.
Yes, misguided, 100%.
Mhm.
We're not building enough, right? And they take a long time to get delivered. Demand, come on, it's already here, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
For the longest time, we have been bragging that Florida enjoys a population gain of it's over 1,000 people per day already, and that's measured by the U.S. Census Bureau. They measure people moving into the state of Florida, and they use multiple sources like driver's license, tax returns,
Mhm.
even U-Haul. They take that into consideration, right? How many
Yeah,
trucks are
and
being rented and crossing the states?
that's correct. And they subtract people moving out at birth, subtract death.
Yeah.
From 2014 to 2023, it was averaging around 1,000 a day. Number two to
Wow.
Texas. Although in 2023 we outgrew Texas. Last year we hit a new record, 1,200, 1,280 people per day moving to Florida.
Yeah.
We have heard some of you use this data and says that's Miami. No, no, no. That's the state of Florida.
Yes,
Includes Jacksonville or Orlando, Tampa, Naples, the entire state.
yeah, it's all Florida, Raúl. It's not just
Mhm,
Miami, and
mhm.
and that's something that people need to understand that it's only to be surpassed by
Wow.
this year. I mean, just wait what's going to happen in 2026 because the census now has Florida tracking towards 1,350 people per day, and the only state that passes Florida would be Texas, and only for 100 people, 1,450 per day, which
Yeah,
is
Andres, but just to take a look of the size of Texas and the
uh,
size of Florida.
yeah, yeah. And you have to keep that in mind. Just like you said, this how big is Texas compared to Florida? Three times,
Mhm.
two times,
Yeah,
four times?
maybe three times.
Yeah, it's crazy. Texas is huge, and you can feed your Florida. We
Four
could
times.
move to Texas. The
You're
entire
right.
state of Florida move to Texas immediately. It's so big.
Yeah. Now, Andres, taking into consideration that here in South Florida, we are governed to the east by the Atlantic Ocean, to the west by the Everglades. That beautiful sponge of Florida that keeps the ecology in balance. There's not a lot of room. That's why we are going up. That's why the condos are super tall, and it's the only way that we can accommodate the growth. And this demand, Andres, does not include, by the way, South Americans who are buying for investment or a second home. It does not include Americans or Canadians who are buying second homes. Not at all.
Well, not at all, like you said. And these are people that are calling Florida their permanent home, right?
Mhm.
Of the what 1,350, about a third come to South Florida. They come to only three counties: Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and you may not know it by the numbers, but you certainly know it by the crazy traffic that we have here.
Oh, no.
I-95, it's a mess. The Palmetto's a mess. The Turnpike is getting worse. We are crowded already.
Yes, we need more highways or double sides highways or two-story highways. Uh, Something needs to have happened. And heck, when you look at this construction crane adorning the skyline, about half of those are in is road construction,
Yeah,
bridges, Interstate 95,
yeah.
the improvement that they are doing right now,
Well,
almost $1 billion to improve that.
and
And
just
then
talking about that, Raul, the
Mhm.
Golden Glades, that project alone is going to take 10 years. Just
Wow,
imagine that crazy.
wow. Yeah, that's and the Department of Transportation understand these numbers. They also understand where these numbers are going. California is the most populated state
Mhm.
with 40 million,
Wow.
Texas a little over 30, and Florida 23 million and growing.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot. It was 2012 when Florida passed New York in total population. New
Mhm.
York is still hovering at 20 million. We passed 20. We're now at 23. And the forecast for population growth remains incredibly strong. And what we need is more housing. Unfortunately, they don't like to build single family homes, and we need more single family homes and condos, of course.
The
Because
problem there is no room or little spaces left.
well, that's true, and that's something that we really need to think about, as if
Mhm.
we can build as if we can build them fast enough. We already have
Mhm.
machinery printing properties, printing homes, right? And
Mhm.
we often ask, what is like to travel outside of Florida? I mean, you meet a perfect stranger and they ask, hey, where do you live? Where do you say, Raúl?
Miami, the best place on earth.
Even if you're from Florida or from West Palm Beach, when you say Miami, you see that sweet envy on their face because Miami, just like you said, Raúl, is the best place on earth.
Yes, it kind of makes me wonder what happens next year in February and March. We are getting the World Championship golf tournament, best golfer in the world, followed by the Miami Tennis Open, a magnificent event, followed by F1.
The
And
formula.
we always have our Basel at the end of the year.
Well, our Basel
The
Raúl
soccer,
starts in a
the
month.
World Cup, Andres.
The World Cup, and we are almost a month shy of starting our Basel. It starts the 3rd of December, if I'm not mistaken, and the media coverage is all over South Florida, and it's pretty good. But just wait until next year because every 4 years, the
Hmm.
most popular sports in the world, and we're talking about soccer. Where's gonna
Hmm.
be Raúl?
When?
When?
Let's
Where?
next summer. They are coming to Miami,
They're
followed
coming to
by
Miami.
and this is awesome too. The G20 summit, the
Yeah,
top 20 industrialized countries in the world are coming to Miami for the very first time. It makes
yeah.
a it makes a wow. It's incredible. Miami is going to be the the place they choose to do that convention.
Raúl, what if Miami becomes the capital of the world? Would you imagine?
Oh, I can't imagine. Imagine the worldwide TV coverage for this that Miami will receive, covering first the most popular sport in the world, and the secondly the heads of the state of the top 20 countries, taking about the present and the future of the world right here in Miami.
Well,
It
Raúl, it makes
makes
me wonder
yep.
what you and I are when you and I are traveling next year and we
Mhm.
meet that perfect stranger, right?
Yeah. Mhm. We
I
we
mean,
happen to be fortunate, Andres, to be selling property to the most popular market in the United States, and maybe the most talked about in the world. We have demand like we have never had before. We are building spectacular buildings that all deserve architectural awards.
yeah. Miami has indeed moved to a whole other level completely, Raúl, completely.
Mhm.
And we're looking forward to the end of our Q4 report. It's going to be amazing. And we expect that as the stars continue to line up,
Mhm.
we might be looking at one of the strongest real estate years that we have ever seen.
Yes, and 2026 is right around the corner.
Yep. If you have questions, remember to subscribe to Miami Real Group. And if you have questions, remember to subscribe to Miami Real Group and to share. Se me olvidó. Dale tú,
Subscribe.
Raúl.
Click the button. De nuevo, dale. Ahora al final. Okay.
If you have questions, remember to subscribe to Miami Real Group and share all our videos with your friends and family.